Oh, hello everybody. Good to see you. It's been a little while. Rufo coming at you with another little piece of history. Today I got something a little bit different for you. A little bit, I hope you think is a little fun. Today we're going to talk about the history of one of America's favorite sandwiches over the years, the peanut butter and jelly. I got into a debate with one of my students earlier this week about the product I use to make peanut butter and jelly. And I go with the Goober Grape. Some of you might be familiar, some not so much. Schmucker's Goober Grape. It is the 50th anniversary. I'll talk more about that in a little while. The cool thing about the Goober Grape, of course, is the peanut butter and the jelly all in one jar. Makes it nice and easy to deal with. Not everybody agrees with this concept. I get into some heated debates with people, including my own wife, by the way. So we'll talk more about Goober Grape and what it means to me and how I grew up with it and my thoughts on the topic. But first, let's do a little bit of history of peanut butter and jelly. Okay, something that's in a lot of American cupboards, right? Something that many of us grew up with. And you might never have thought about the history, but that's the cool thing about history. Everything has a history. Even the most mundane things that we take for granted have a history behind them. So does peanut butter and jelly. So let's start by talking about the beginning where we kind of start off. The first located reference to the now immortal peanut butter and jelly sandwich was published by Julia Davis Chandler in 1901. During the early 1900s, peanut butter was considered a delicacy, and as such, it was served at upscale affairs in New York's finest tea rooms. Ye Old English Coffee House made a peanut butter and pimento sandwich. The Vanity Fair tea room served its peanut butter with watercress, and the Colonial tea room served peanut butter on toast triangles and soda crackers. Peanut butter sandwiches moved down the class structure as the price of peanut butter declined due to commercialization of the industry. Peanut butter's use also moved down the age structure of the nation as manufacturers added sugar to the peanut butter, which appealed to children. The relationship between children and peanut butter was cemented in the 1920s when Gustav Papendick invented a process for slicing and wrapping bread. Sliced bread meant that children could make sandwiches themselves without slicing the bread with a potentially dangerous knife. As a consequence of low cost, high nutrition, and ease of assembly, peanut butter sandwiches became one of the top children's meals during the Great Depression. Now, jelly has been around for a long time as well. In the case of the quintessential American peanut butter and jelly sandwich, the most important person in this part of the story is a man named Paul Welch. Of course, you know Welch's, one of the brand names still around today. Welch secured a patent in 1917 for pureeing grapes and turning them into jelly. He developed and advertised Grape-A-Lade, rhymes with marmalade. Grape-A-Lade from Concord grapes. This was popular with American troops of World War I, and when soldiers came home after the war, it was very popular to spread Grape-A-Lade on bread. Contrary to popular belief, peanut butter was not invented by Dr. George Washington Carver. However, of course, he is credited with advancing the peanut crop in the South in the early 1900s. And he published a famous book, 300 Uses for Peanuts. And this included peanut paste. The forerunner of the peanut butter we know today was first brought to light sometime during the 1880s when a St. Louis physician, Dr. Ambrose Straub, made a peanut paste for geriatric patients who had trouble swallowing or who had bad teeth. Around the same time, Dr. John Harvey Kellogg, same guy who has, of course, Kellogg's cereal, was the first to patent a process for manufacturing peanut butter. Peanut butter was introduced in the 1893 Chicago's World Fair. And in 1904, Dr. Straub got a food company to develop the peanut butter, and they took it to the St. Louis World Fair, where it became so popular grocery stores began to order it. In 1901, the first peanut butter and jelly sandwich recipe appeared in the Boston Cooking School magazine of Culinary Science and Domestic Economics, written by Julia Davis Chandler. She was said to have used currant or crabapple jelly in her recipe. During the Great Depression of the 1930s, families discovered peanut butter provided a satisfying, high-protein, less expensive meal. But the major event that took peanut butter and jelly over the top was its popularity during World War II. Peanut butter and jelly were on U.S. military ration menus in World War II. Peanut butter was a high-protein, shelf-stable ingredient, and it was easily portable on long marches. Grape-Elade had already accompanied soldiers in the First World War and added a sweetness to the sandwich. With pre-sliced bread so easy to use, the natural inclination was to combine these three items, and before long the good old PB&J was part of the American soldier's life. When soldiers came home from the war, peanut butter and jelly sales soared. And so that brings us to this particular peanut butter and jelly, Schmucker's Goober Grape. So let me give you a little background on Schmucker's and how they got started. Jerome Monroe Schmucker was born in Orrville, Ohio in 1858 and spent much of his life in farming. In 1897, he constructed a cider mill in the town using fruit from trees planted by Johnny Appleseed during the early 19th century. He later sold apple butter from the back of a horse-drawn wagon, and in 1921 incorporated his company. In 1923, Schmucker expanded to fruit spreads. The company now makes more than 40 varieties of jams, jellies, preserves, marmalades, and fruit butters. And now, here's a little bit of the difference between those things. Spreads are manufactured in different ways. Jelly comes from fruit juice, while jam consists of a blend of crushed pieces of fruit and fruit puree. Preserves contain whole or large pieces of fruit, while marmalade is jelly with shreds of citrus fruit peel. And Schmucker's son Willard took on operations. He modernized the factory in 1939, and by 1952 they took on a new advertising campaign, which many of us are very familiar with a name like Schmucker's. It has to be good. It's got to be good, right? So that was their famous advertising campaign, which was way back in 1952. In 1968, they introduced a new product called Goober Grape, combining peanut butter and jelly stripes. And it originally had a gingham cap, purple and white gingham kind of cap on. Today they've done away with the original gingham colored cap and have gone with a purple top. Other than that, it still looks the way it looked when I was a kid, with your stripes of peanut butter and jelly, all in the same jar, Goober Grape. And of course, I grew up with this. Being Italian-American, again, we didn't talk about Italy at all in this peanut butter and jelly discussion. Not what you'd call an Italian kind of delicacy. But my dad would pick up this when he would go shopping when I was a little kid. This is what he would grab, and so this is what I grew up on my peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. And I think he grabbed it because he must have thought, why I got to buy one of this, one jar with this one. This probably just seemed like an easy fix. Everything was in one container. And so whatever his thought process was, I'm not sure, but I grew up with it, and it kind of stuck. And to this day, this is what I choose to make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich out of, the Goober Grape. And again, some people will fight me on this. My own beautiful wife, Patricia, who makes a great peanut butter and jelly. I love the sandwiches she makes for me. It's funny how a sandwich someone makes for you always tastes better than one that you make. And that kind of neat. She will argue all night if you let her that this is not the proper way of doing a peanut butter and jelly. She grew up in a traditional household where the peanut butter came in one jar and the jelly came in the other thing, and that's the process to making a peanut butter and jelly. But for me, she will go with this because she knows I like it. But a lot of people over the years have debated me on this. And again, just this week, one of my students was like, "What are you talking about, Roof? That you can't make a peanut butter. That's not peanut butter and jelly." And I said, my friend, this is the way to go. Goober Grape. And again, we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of Goober Grape in 2018. So for 50 years, people have been enjoying this product. I certainly have been enjoying it myself. And of course, today it doesn't even have to be peanut butter and jelly anymore. Today you can do peanut butter and fluffernutter, peanut butter and Nutella. Now there's an Italian thing, right? The hazelnut chocolate. A lot of people go for that. And you don't have to do grape jelly, strawberry, different things. So there's lots of ways to enjoy a quick American classic, peanut butter and jelly. And there's a history to it, and now you know. And there's a little history to this particular product. And hey, if you've never tried it, give it a whirl. Go ahead. You know, I vouch for it. It's pretty good. And again, my wife will tell you that it's not right. It's not proper. The consistency, the mouth feel, blah, blah, blah. And she's entitled to her opinion. But for me, Goober Grape, that's the way to go. So I hope you enjoyed tonight's little fun show on the history of the American classic sandwich, peanut butter and jelly, and my favorite peanut butter and jelly Goober Grape. So November's just about over. We got December coming. Got a couple shows coming up. I'll do something on December 7th. It, of course, is Pearl Harbor. So I'll talk a little bit about Pearl Harbor. It's also Delaware Day. It is the day that Delaware accepts the Constitution of the United States, becoming the first state. It also happens to be my birthday, December 7th, 1971. So I'll do a quick December 7th show for you. And I'm thinking about doing a Christmas show. We'll talk about growing up Italian-American and what Christmas is like, some of the little Christmas things, the Christmas traditions that Italians have done over the years. Talk about the Feast of the Seven Fishes on Christmas Eve, the big seafood dinner that a lot of us like to do. I'll talk about La Befana, Little Christmas, Feast of the Epiphany, which happens in January. We'll talk about some of that as well for our Christmas show. So I got a couple things lined up for the holidays that I'll share with everyone. I've missed you all. I hope everyone's doing good. I'm doing good. I feel great. Everything's coming along with me over here. So continue to watch. Let me know what you think. And stay tuned for more coming down the road. Okay? And so take it easy. Have a great weekend. Have a good beginning to your December. And I will see everyone down the road, and I'll see you later. Take it easy, all right? And now we're going to shut her down. Good night, everybody. Bye-bye.